What's going on, everybody? Austin here with Tactical Approach Outdoors. So today let's talk about our Kentucky trip in the early season. So first off, I just want to cover a couple things. The early season thing is a whole new ballgame. Alright, the mosquitoes, the ticks, the deer still freaking have spots on them. Alright, that was new. I'm not too interested in hunting in 80, 90 degree weather. That was not exactly the most fun to me, but you know what? We had a great time anyways, and we saw plenty of deer, and we saw some big deer, which is really what we were after. So I'll show you the weather here going into the week. Opening day there, we had our best weather. So our best weather came in the very first 2 days of the hunt, and then after that, it got hot. So what we weren't sure about, though, with this being a brand new property, was exactly what the hunting pressure was going to look like. And we had some cameras running, so we had eyes on some big deer, and we had kind of a general direction we wanted to go, which was the plan. I got up there a month earlier, set cameras, and strategically spots along the property, covering different portions. So I didn't just want to concentrate my cameras in one area. I never do that. So I had about 4 areas where I had multiple cameras set up throughout the property, just in case one spot ended up getting hunted a lot harder than the other spot, so we could make a move, right? So that's kind of the way it ended up being. A ton of hunting pressure, but the hunting pressure was extremely predictable, which is very cool. Now, we didn't find that out for a couple days, as we started to figure out exactly where everybody was at. It became extremely predictable where the hunting pressure was coming from and where these guys were sitting. It didn't really get unpredictable till we were about halfway into the week, where you could tell guys weren't seeing deer. They were trying to make moves and adjust, and they were starting to walk the property more. So that's when things kind of got a little funny. But aside from that, it was still very predictable. We just had to find that middle ground, that spot where between where the guys were here and between where the guys were here, there was an obvious difference from the walk-in traffic and the boat traffic, and there was an obvious middle ground. So once we found that, we were finding the deer. And 3 days into the hunt, me and Dakota actually went on the ground, started to look at a new spot in a way, not necessarily a new spot, but a spot we hadn't hunted yet in that trip. And we ran into a really big deer. So got him nailed down, his bed nailed down, and I had encounters with that deer three days in a row and just couldn't make it happen. I tried to adjust my tree stand and even go in on the ground for still hunting. It took me 4 hours to go 100 yards. I just was trying to be as easy as I could, and what we were finding out is that those deer were getting into their bed way before daylight, and they really weren't moving very far. They were only I don't even think they were moving a full 100 yards during daylight, just kind of watching how these deer were behaving. So the evening time was probably going to be our better bet. We could tell, so we actually did a lot of sleeping in. We totally skipped most of our morning hunts just because we were going to be getting in there when the deer were already there anyways. So we tried to set up our stands strategically where when we got in there midday, not only could we see what was going on, but we were trying to be just far enough off of where they were bedded that we weren't necessarily spooking them when we got into our stands, but we had to be as close as we can. So it's kind of you're kind of running a fine line there, that you're trying to get as close as you can without spooking them, because they really weren't moving far. So we took some ideas from that. We're gonna change up slightly how we used our trail cameras, and we did notice that those deer, especially early season, they had a little bit of a forgiveness to being bumped. So we're going to use that to our advantage next year and get these deer located exactly where they're bedded, and then we're going to use our trail cameras and come up with a strategy to really figure out encircle that bedding area without spooking him, right? Without getting too close, but close enough where we can get an idea of exactly what trails this guy tends to use the most, and try to move in on him and make a hunt from there. Because the trick that we found was that if we had some deer locked down prior to opening day, those first 3 days were the best for our hunt. So especially as hunting pressure started moving around, pushing these deer around some more, and the deer were trying to figure out places to hide now. So overall, it was a very good hunt. We enjoyed ourselves. We definitely won't be tent camping next time. That was no fun at all. But overall, learned a lot of stuff. That was the earliest we've ever hunted here in Missouri. We always have a September 15th opener. And Kentucky this year we had a September 4th. So, you know, we were a good 11 days ahead of what we're typically, you know, getting into the woods here in Missouri. And we still don't even hunt a lot of that September 15th just because it's hot and the deer aren't moving very far. So we don't want to mess up our spots just yet. But there was some strategies that we took from this trip that we will be implementing, and did implement actually, for early season Missouri this year. So next year, going into our early season hunts, we feel very confident about what we learned and what we can implement good moving forward on this property. We learned this property very well. There's some big deer. We're pumped. And next year's going to be fun. So maybe we can get ourselves a nice velvet buck this next year at that property. So overall, we're just going to keep looking at trail camera footage. Keep, you know, watching the map. So I'm a map nerd. I will be on that Onyx as often as I can and trying to find anything that I can to find some kind of pattern or hidden movement. So we still have cameras up there. We're going to go up there early spring, pull those cameras and do our spring scouting. So that way we'll have a bunch of data gathered from September, October, November, December, the entire deer season. So we're pretty pumped about seeing exactly what those cameras show. So Lucky Whiskey, good luck guys. Kill you a big one. Oh, that's some good stuff. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to follow along our channel. Got a lot more videos coming up. It's going to be a really big year. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.